Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for this webinar. Today we are going to speak about this learning platform QuickHelp that we recently added to our portfolio. And today I have with me Zach Bidner from Brainstorm, myself, Cyril Courrée, product manager at Charlweb. And Zach, maybe do you want to present yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. My name is Zach Bittner. I'm the Director of Partner Development at Brainstorm, and I work with our technology partners and distributors like ShareWeb to help them really with their go-to-market strategies around Microsoft Office 365 and really any Microsoft productivity applications, and really helping them realize full value for their customers around that through learning and adoption.
Thank you, Zach, to be with us today. Before to move to the agenda, so few housekeeping items. The webinar is being recorded. We'll send you the link in a couple of days. If you have any question, please don't hesitate. There is a Q&A part in the application, and also you can already download the slides of the presentation under the handout. So let's move to the agenda. So today we're going to first of all speak about the need of learning when you are an Office 365 users. Why to go on this, and why it's going to maximize the investment, make your customer more efficient, and so on, and why this continual learning, what it means and why it's so different. Then we'll go to the introduction of QuickHelp. What are the features, benefits, impact for your customers? Then we go through a demonstration of the tool, and after speak a bit about the opportunity for partners, what is there for you, and then go on pricing, and of course keeping some time for the Q&A. So that being said, Zach, I give you the mic.
Wonderful. Thanks, Cyril. Yeah, so excited to be here today. This is really what we do, what we focus on, and I'm going to provide a little more context as we go through the presentation today about why this need for continual learning on Office 365 is so important, and then also about the methodologies and the frameworks that we utilize to really drive that to happen. You know, I'm not huge on slides, so I'll move pretty quickly through the slides, and then we'll definitely jump into the product. I want to show you the platform. I want to show you how it works, how users engage within the platform as well. So we'll definitely spend some time in there. But I do want to start off, you know, when we think about migration, we think about training, those two tend to coincide and go hand in hand. And the reality is that there was once a day when you would roll out Windows 7 and Office 2010 to your customer, and you may go in and do some some very basic learning or training for them, or even something more built out and more robust. And then you would kind of call it good. And you may point the users to some additional resources or something that they would have, but really learning was an event. Well, Office 365, and in particular Microsoft 365, has really changed the paradigm. If you've been around the Microsoft ecosystem for more than 5 minutes, you know that Microsoft has been beating the drum very heavily around full value and driving adoption. And driving continual adoption and consumption for Office 365, and we can definitely see that as something that has really been paramount and needed as Microsoft has continued to iterate on the suite of products that they have. You don't have to look very far. Last year alone, Microsoft put 60 new features into Office 365. And so the technology gap is really widening between what your customers utilize in the suite and what's available to them. So if we think about things like Delve and Sway and Teams and Planner and Groups and Clutter and all of these new products that were added into Office 365, and then think about your own customers. If they're anything like our customers, they're still struggling to get OneDrive adopted and to get Skype for Business going. They haven't necessarily formalized a plan around Yammer or Teams. Now, it doesn't mean they don't discount the value of that. but they're just struggling in the old paradigm of how do we adopt software applications to see how they can really drive adoption of these products and do it frequently, do it iteratively, and kind of do it always. So what we've seen, and you're definitely seeing, and you know, grateful to have you here today. It means you've recognized this pain point. You know, Microsoft has released a tremendous tool into the market, and no doubt Office 365 brings a tremendous amount of value, but organizations have to start to really invest in change management. And that's an ongoing motion. Again, contrasting that with the traditional training motion of you deploy something, you do some training, and then you're done. The new paradigm, or the new world that we're in, really is you deploy something, or something is deployed iteratively on its own, and you, an organization, needs to decide, when are we going to adopt teams, and then how are we going to adopt an application. So today, I want to introduce you to QuickHelp, which is really the platform, our flagship product that we've created to really help organizations focus on change management and help users be able to adopt the changes that are coming their way so quickly. And with QuickHelp, you know, likely many of you have heard of Brainstorm. We are largely considered the gold standard in Microsoft productivity training. Our focus is exclusively on the Microsoft experience and on the productivity side. We don't do much on the admin side or the IT training kind of side. We really focus on the user experience. We've been in the business for more than 20 years. And we won the Microsoft Partner of the Year in 2016. We also do all of the partner immersion experience, or the CIE certifications. So if you yourself are a CIE certified organization, that's through Microsoft. That would have been Brainstorm who did that certification. So you would have come through a certification session or course with Brainstorm. Our platform has over 4 million end users now that are part of the community and use the platform, which I'll be showing you momentarily. A little bit more about the methodology that we use and the framework we use. Our kind of key framework around change is personalize and attract and then change. And so, you know, the reality is that most learning initiatives fail, especially computer-based learning initiatives. They fail because they lack personalization. And if you think about your own experience with training, if something isn't really pertinent or relevant to you and to your job function and your role, it's really difficult for you to sit through and consume training content that doesn't fit the bill. So at Brainstorm, with QuickHelp, we really take a lot of time up front trying to understand the user. We see things like what's their role in the organization. Because if Bob in accounting, who is an expert with Excel, receives as his first course or his first training, Welcome to Excel 2016, we're going to probably lose Bob. It's going to be tough to keep him interested and engaged if we don't personalize the experience for him. I'll show you how we do that in a moment. We then attract users into the system, and we do that through a series of events. We do it through email campaigns. We do it through very targeted campaigns that bring users in and again provide relevant information for them. We also have a resistance management plan built in, where if I'm a user and I've been assigned content and I haven't completed it, well, I'm going to be requested to come back in and to complete the content that's perhaps been assigned to me. Our attraction component to QuickHelp really makes it very, very high rates of consumption with the product. And ultimately, by delivering the right content at the right time, we're reinforcing learning and changing the way that the users work. Without the change component to this, you know, the learning aspects don't really matter. It doesn't matter if I take you through a really great session on why Skype should matter to you and how to utilize Skype. If you decide you don't ultimately change your behavior and utilize it. So the change component really is something that we want to keep good track of. We are going to be measuring the change as well and seeing how the learning is impacting the user's performance. And I'll get into that as well in the reporting. The key features you'll see are really that QuickHelp creates a great culture of learning and drives the ongoing productivity. And again, when we think about all of the products that are hitting users and how frequently they're hitting users, it's really important that an organization create well-traveled paths for adoption. So as a user, if the organization throws Yammer at me and I've got a really good way to adopt Yammer and I go through that process, it's going to create ruts in the road for me. So that next time when they put Planner on my plate or Teams on my plate, I've got a really well-traveled path for me as a user to adopt an application. And again, I'll go through that. We've got a great on-demand library. We keep the content fresh and up to date. We have a huge product team that does this better than anyone else in the business. We do live training events, which I'll show you as well. Over 45 live training events every month. So your customers will have access to live events on things like OneNote and OneDrive and Teams and Office 365, of course. We focus applications on specific topics, which you'll see. We also offer assessments and testing and polling questions into the system, which provide us with a great amount of exportable content to see how your users are doing when they're with regard to the training and adoption. We do have multiple learning assets, which we call them. PDF guides are one of those. Video training is another. We have video assets, of course. We have polling questions, graded assessments, all of that. Live events, you'll see that in the system when we jump in. The benefits, though, to the customer really are these that are listed. Maximizing the investment in Microsoft is really critical, and I'll give a very quick example of one of those. If you've gone and you've sold your customer, let's say you've sold them business premium, or you sold them like an E3 license, an E3 SKU, and that customer goes through, let's say, a year or the course of the contract with you, and you look back and they say, gosh, we never used 3/4 of the products that you sold us. That customer is now a really good candidate for dropping down to like an E1 or a lower level license. And with that go a lot of the services that you're selling around that license as well. So the learning and adoption is really a great way for you to maximize the customer's investment in Microsoft. And of course, what that does for you is it creates a stickier environment for you as the partner. There will be less churn on your customers if you're delivering on the promises that you're providing. Removing duplicate applications. Again, if your customer is purchasing Office 365, which has great tools and great solutions, and then maybe the marketing department invests and buys a different application that they already own within Office 365 with functionality that already exists there. This happens every day, and organizations understanding and knowing what they have removes or reduces the chance of duplicate applications being purchased by that customer. Also, creating a learning culture is one of the huge benefits there. Again, the world of software is changing right before our faces, and we see that creating a learning culture in an organization is a really important thing. Becoming a productivity-focused partner is a huge thing for you as you're putting new applications out in front of customers. Being able to really drive that learning culture is going to be an important benefit that you're going to provide. Finally, improving productivity. We talked about decreasing security risk. Absolutely. We've got great learning in QuickHelp around security training, security fundamentals. So your customers can absolutely have access to some tremendous HR and security videos that come with the platform. And then finally, limiting support expenses. If you're providing end user support to the customers, having a great learning culture and a product or a platform where users can really self-service is going to limit your exposure to those support questions and those support concerns that are coming your way. The impact that we're seeing really with QuickHelp is tremendous. Just by learning one new skill, employees are reporting that they're saving an average of 18 minutes per week, which sounds inconsequential until we extrapolate that over a year, or we extrapolate that over an organization of hundreds or even thousands of users. Now we're talking about very significant changes for users in the organization, and that's just with one skill. When we think about the cost of those help desk calls, an average help desk call, as Forrester reports, is $25 just for that one call. So that's time lost in productivity and the cost to support that from an infrastructure perspective. So some great impact there. And then the live events, they are users are reporting saving an average of at least 1 hour per week. So again, lots of productivity benefit that you're going to see there from organizations that are using QuickHelp. So the target market and those that are great targets or candidates for for Brainstorm and for QuickHelp really are any organization using Office 365. Obviously, anybody looking for effective e-learning and adoption, those are conversations that in my experience don't happen very often. So there are kind of two windows of opportunity that exist for implementing Brainstorm, and one of those is, of course, deployment. So if an organization is migrating, they're moving from on-prem to the cloud, or they have a significant migration, that's a time when an organization is going to be asking about learning. And then the other one is when an organization is rolling out a specific workload. So if they've got Office 365 deployed, but they haven't deployed Teams yet, when they do decide to deploy Teams, that's another good window where you can talk about it with your customers. We've already talked about the value of having QuickHelp long term, but again, in terms of educating the customer and implementing this solution at a time in an appropriate time, something that's going to align to the customer, I would absolutely target any migrations and any time a customer is deciding to deploy an additional workload. So those are good motions for you. All right, great. Well, let me jump into the platform now. I've spent plenty of time on slides, and those are available to you as well if you want to go through those. But let me jump into QuickHelp here, and bear with me. There we go. So I'm gonna hop into the platform. It is a web-based learning portal or learning platform. You've got a lot of controls here though, so I want to make sure you understand that each customer is going to have their own unique tenant. Also, I'm logging in with credentials because I have a demo environment that I'm demoing out of, but absolutely your customers can use a login like this, or we can connect to SSO if they have Azure Active Directory in place. We would not necessarily need to have users sign in. We can just use their Office 365 credentials there. So I'll go ahead and log in, and this will take me right into the platform here. And the first thing that's going to do is it's going to give me an introduction. Sorry, let me turn down the volume here. So an introduction is going to come to me about what the platform is and really how to engage with the platform. I'll go ahead and skip the intro, and this will drop me into the first thing that the system is asking me to do. So in the spirit of personalization, we want to know who I am and what department I work for and what my job title is, because we're going to be able to profile the user and deliver very relevant content based on those things. This happens to be pulling from Active Directory, so I'm just going to verify that it is correct, and I'll continue along. Now I want to know what are the applications that this user has used in the past. So yeah, I've used Outlook and Excel. I've never used OneDrive or Skype or Teams or Office 365, but I've used Windows, and I guess I haven't used Surface Hub. This list is populated based on the way the system is set up. So what the customer is rolling out. In this case, they're rolling out Surface Hub, but your customer may not be, so those users wouldn't see those applications. So again, very much a customizable experience here. And how frequently have I used those applications in the past? All right, so that's it for me. That's a one-time session. As a user, that's the only time I'll be asked to complete an intake, and that's going to be useful for me, of course, with regard to the system and being able to personalize content for me. All right, so we found out my learning path or user journey is created, and now I'll click Get Started. It's factored in things that I've that I've put in place on the setup side, on the IT side. So the learning objectives of the company, and then also it's factoring in, perhaps what I have answered there. You'll notice I earned a badge for that. So there's full gamification in the system, and there's badging in place as well. So you can see if users how they're doing with their learning. And users can really compete one with another on badges and on placement in an organization. So this is the first course that I'm being directed to. I'm being dropped into here because I'm a new hire. So this is a new hire orientation. This is an HR piece, and this may be a piece that you want new hires to go through, which talks about the value of learning and getting started within the organization. And there are great courses built right into the system. I'm going to back up one level though to the skill path level and show you the different skill paths that are in the system and have already have been created for you to utilize. Again, not all of these would necessarily be assigned to me as a user. They may get assigned at some point, but we're going to keep the assignments pretty short and sweet to begin with to give the user some really targeted learning that's going to be applicable to them. You can see we've got everything for Office 2016, for SharePoint mobility. We've got some great security training, which would definitely be assigned to me as a new hire and give me some perspective on phishing and malware attacks and how to really be aware of those and not fall for those. I'll go ahead and start though and show you as an example of Skype for Business, which is something that's very applicable in most organizations. You'll see here that this skill path consists of 7 courses, and the courses are may or may not be applicable to me as a user, and I may not even be assigned a course on using Skype as my phone if that's not functionality that I have. So again, it's really going to be dependent on how the system is set up as to what content is available to me or shown to me. And then the courses are going to be groups of asset types. And the asset types, as I mentioned, are videos, there are events, there are polling questions. So I'll just begin, and this will take me into the Introduction to Skype for Business, which is the first course that I have assigned here. Erin Eide is a Microsoft MVP for Skype, and she is a great trainer of ours. She's going to walk me through the Skype interface and what I can expect and how I can get started there. This is a 2-minute video, so it's very informational for me, but it's also very bite-sized and consumable. I can download a PDF on the side, which is a use case for collaborating with Skype. So there are different learning modalities that are available within the system, and that's really an important piece of QuickHelp. It's not just a whole bunch of video content that's given to me. So Erin's going to take me through this. I'll actually fast forward through to the next asset, which in this case happens to be a live training event. So live events, again, we do about 45 live events every month in the system. And these live events are tremendous value to your customers in demonstrating the art of the possible, demonstrating the why. We have a saying here at Brainstorm that without the why, the how doesn't matter. And if you think about yourself and your experience with things like Teams and OneDrive and you name the product, until you've understood why it matters for you to use OneNote, for example. It's the how to use OneNote and how to create a notebook and a page. Those things don't really matter. So we've identified this critical need in the learning process, and we've incorporated live training events right into our system. because I've been assigned an introduction or getting started with Skype for Business, that is going to be placed in my course. So as a user, I'll choose a day and time that work for me, and I'll choose July 5th at 9 a.m. and register for that event. That will send me a calendar invite that will live on my Outlook calendar, and will then be an event that's there for me to click on the day and time, and then that will of course direct me back to QuickHelp to consume that event. The events are streamed through Azure. You don't need a separate WebEx or GoToMeeting or anything like that. The system, if the users can access QuickHelp, they can consume the live training events. They're complete with Q&A for question and answer sessions with the trainer, and those are monitored, so as the trainer's presenting, the users can be asking questions and those will be answered real time. Those events are, again, a tremendous benefit. We do about 45 live events every month, and again, those are going to be really big value adds to your customers as they look at, okay, now we're going to go ahead and deploy Teams, and we want to roll that out to the organization. The first thing that users should be doing with that is attending a 30-minute live training on Teams that's going to show them why Teams is going to matter to them. Good. The next thing here is a polling question that I get, which is, what do I use to communicate? And you may look at this and say, gosh, who's going to fill that out? Well, I can tell you that 97% of people who get to this point in this course, they do fill it out. So they will give us information on, whatever we're asking here. Now, this will take me on to the next asset, and ultimately at the end of the course, I will receive what we call a checkpoint. And checkpoints are there really just to gauge competency. Has the user comprehended this set of learning that's been presented to them in that course? And once I complete that, this will take me right along to the very next course that I've been assigned. Now let's say I'm done. I've taken a course and I've got a meeting to go to, and I'm done as a user, so I exit out of the product. Well, that user is going to be reminded through that great attraction motion and through that communication campaign that they've got outstanding assigned content that needs to be completed. That can be tracked and monitored by management. That can be tracked and monitored by the project team or by IT. And I, as a manager, can look at my team and say, have they completed the training that was assigned to them? And I can prod them along. So there's quite a few different methods for us to keep users motivated in the system. Some of those are the carrot and some of those are the stick. And we find that both are required to really achieve success with the system. Great, so I've shown you skill paths and all of the different asset types that we have, and the fact that you can roll out anything from Windows to OneNote to OneDrive, and we have thousands of assets in the system for you. But one of the things that users really like to do is, if I have a question about, OneNote, I'll type in OneNote here, and this is going to bring back results for me that I can consume. As expected, there is a skill path on OneNote, so I can look at that. There is content on OneNote, so I could click on that and watch a video on a OneNote overview, for example. Or I might really want to attend a training session. So there's an event here on using OneNote to organize my world. Well, that's great. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to register for a day and time that work for me to attend a OneNote session. Because again, I want that contextual learning there. I want to know why I should use OneNote, not just how I need to use OneNote. So the live events are really going to be really beneficial. If I click on View All, you'll see we've got a tremendous amount of live events that we do in the system every single month. Again, 45 events that we'll do in the month as a minimum. So whether I'm learning about Windows or get to know Yammer or Teams or build SharePoint site from the ground up, those are things that I'm going to find really, really beneficial. Great. I do want to also spend just a moment showing you the reporting side of QuickHelp. Actually, let me jump in and I'll, before I do that, I'll hop over and show you the content. So in the system, we have, again, a tremendous amount of content. If I click on the browse all content, of course I can search for anything, but a lot of times I may want to just come in and see what's available. So if you know, forms, if I'm creating a form using Microsoft Forms, a great amount of content here. If we aren't even deploying certain things, certain products, then those can be hidden and users never know they're there. So it's a very flexible tool in that regard, but Power BI is a great one. So we've got 71 assets on Power BI. We have a live training event on Power BI. This is a really great tool, especially if you're selling E5 and your customers are using Power BI. This is a really great way to get started on Power BI and be able to dive into that world. So we do have basic things, basic end user things, but we've got great things that are you know, admin focused or focused on people that are really getting into a deeper level of functionality within Office 365. So we're going to support all of that. Great. Let me jump back into the reports here and we'll show you what these look like. So as a user, you know, I may or may not have access to the reporting side. But as an admin and as a partner, you absolutely will have access to this side of the house. So you're going to want to see how is my customer doing, generally speaking, with the learning. In this case, I'm looking at this account and I'm seeing that they're doing pretty well. I can hover over this and it shows me how many event registrations are going on, how many asset views are happening, and I can track that over time. You'll see I can also modify the date range. So if I want to see how we've done over the last 30 days or 60 days or all time, I can do that. Also, you see I've got my assigned content here, and I can see who's gotten their content complete and who hasn't done that. I can export that out into Excel, and then I can really do a lot with that information. The user engagement I love. It shows me how the customer is really engaging with the email campaigns. So we're seeing all the emails that are sent. Well, how many are getting opened and what are the click-through rates there? Because if I'm seeing low engagement or low usage within the platform, I probably don't have to look very far. I can look at the user engagement and see that, wow, that's really low. They're not opening the emails or they're not clicking through the emails. So we're going to need to make an adjustment on how we actually, you know, how we communicate with the users about the system. I can also see the popular user journeys and who are my top users. Again, if there's gamification built in and you want to provide rewards for badges, or the customer wants to provide rewards for people that get through certain training modules, that's absolutely something that can be done. Very easy to do that as well. Also, you've got all of the assessments, so this all can be exported out, of course, and really dissected. We've got some great reports that we do also deliver, but we won't go into those today. But this does allow you to pull this up and see how are the users responding to the polling questions, how are they doing with their you know, with their assignments, and are they completing those assignments. So you also have a content side, and I want to spend just a moment on the content library. You can see here that we've got you know, quite a lot of content, and not all of it is published, so it's not active. But if I do want to publish some things like, you know, we've got the admin content for whatever reason, or project online, Bing for Business, there's a little bit of content coming online there as well. Or I want to hide something like Microsoft Flow, or maybe your customer for whatever reason isn't on Windows 10 yet. Well, great, let's get rid of the Windows 10 content until they're standardized there. So we continue to add content to the library, and that content can be activated or turned on as it's appropriate for the customer. I also want to talk a little bit about groups. There's group functionality in the product where we've got system groups and user groups. And organizations are really most successful with QuickHelp when they utilize group functionality. So if you've got admins or you've got a sales team and want to deliver content that's very specific or relevant to them, the group functionality is tremendous. So users can be bucketed into groups and content can be delivered to them very specifically based on the groups. I also want to spend a moment on communications. We have tremendous communication plans that are built into the system that you can use right away. So if you wanted to take a communication plan on Teams, for example, we've got a tremendous amount of content that's already built for you and can be deployed to a user or to an organization simply by emailing out a specific communication that can be scheduled to go out next week, next month, next year, whatever makes sense there, and we can preview what that message is going to look like. These are canned, obviously, communications, so the customer logo will appear here, and then a little bit about using Teams and why it matters. And so they'll click on this link here and it will take them to a very specific asset on getting started with Teams or exploring Teams. So again, those messaging communication plans are really important when we think about change management and the aspects of change management and implementing a change strategy for your customer. The communications are really critical. So we're gonna have some automated communications that happen automatically in the system, but you do have a vast array of content that you can use to drive very specific communications in the organization. This content, before you ask, can absolutely be edited. So if I want to take this where does Teams fit communication and I want to edit that, I can edit that easily for content, for image caps, for anything, and really customize that email that's going to go out before I send it out to users in an organization. So I think you'll really find the comms tab is super beneficial. Perfect. The user journey is the last component that I want to talk about today, and this is really where you're able to take your groups and assign a very specific journey to them. So whether I'm a new hire, whether I'm an admin, or I'm on the sales team, user journeys can be issued specifically for those people. And so you may notice that not everyone in the organization is assigned the same user journey. Everyone might get one user journey that's the same, but then there may be some classification, and those user journeys can be assigned strategically as you go along. You do not have to assign you don't have to assign multiple user journeys. You can just have one user journey for everyone in the organization as a starting point. That's very easy to do. It may seem like configuration of the system is complicated. It's not. There are templates that are there. ShareWeb will help out tremendously with that, and really it can be as hands-off as you want in terms of the amount of time and effort. My purpose in showing you the back end is really to show you the flexibility of the system that it has. Great, awesome. So I said that was the last thing. There will be one more small thing that I want to talk about, and that is the graph integration. So we do have integration into the customer's Office 365 tenant, which when established brings in users into the QuickHelp system automatically. So that integration is really critical when we think about what happens when an organization has QuickHelp and then they hire 2 new employees. Well, QuickHelp is going to pick up those new licenses automatically in the Office 365 tenant, and they're going to bring those users into the system. And depending on the way you've configured it, we can automatically issue them a Brainstorm license, and they'll receive their learning content and their messaging, and away they go on their own. So there's a lot of options here for keeping that very hands-off for you and having the Office 365 tenant really be the one truth in the in the experience. So that's a huge benefit when we think about managing the number of licenses that you have and managing the number of users you have assigned or licensed within one particular organization. That graph integration is really, really an important piece. Perfect. Well, that wraps up my my demonstration or presentation of the product. And at this point, I will actually turn the time back over to Cyril to talk about the opportunities that exist for you as the partner, and he'll get into pricing as well.
Okay, that's great. Let me see when you can see my screen. We're going to switch.
I see it, Cyril.
Okay, that's great. So thank you very much, Zach, for this presentation. We got a couple of questions on what you've seen. So the way we configure it on our site, ShareWeb, so to be able to be able to say plug and play, what we did is created the default template for a customer, getting the standard application assigned, getting a standard user journey. So when someone plugged the first time, you get some content. Of course, partner, customers, they have the capability to add and custom all those things to bring a better experience. But if you just want to use it as a plug and play, the tool will work. And it's really the managed part that we did. So on this one, we feel free to contact us, and we can give more details on that. Okay, so to continue on the presentation, so let's go on the opportunity for you partners. And when we decided to add this solution, we're getting this request for a long time. And the reason is that the market that we all are, this cloud market, there is a lot of competition. And it's also part of the beauty of the solution. So in the cloud, strong competition between vendors, between partners. It's very confusing. Everyone can purchase the service, but it's also making a bunch of customers not getting the full value of the solution. And when we've seen like ShareWeb to bring an e-learning platform to our partner and customers, what's really the vision was that we want our partner to be able to add value, and stand out from the competition. And again, Office 365, like Zach says, it's a very powerful suite, probably the best one. But partner and customer get confused, and some of them they have an Office 365 just to use a mailbox, and you really don't get the return on investment you were expecting. So this solution and the reason to push it, being a partner, is really being able to add this value to your partner, to your customers, and also ease the deployment or the migration, like Zach said earlier, So come with a solution approach and not anymore like I'm coming with a product. We came with Office 365 for some reason, let's leverage and let's maximize this investment. And bringing QuickHelp part of the deployment is really the key of the success, So customer, they will get Office 365. Once everyone is set, they can start to learn to use Outlook, they can start to learn Teams, and really enjoying all those productivity tools that make sense for them. Like we say, help desk call, for a lot of partners, this is a big chunk of your business, but think about not wasting time or wasting way less time on those super basic how-to questions. I used to be a partner, and a bunch of how-to questions I was never charging my customer because they are quick to answer, but they come very often, and often I wasn't tracking. And with this kind of solution, you can reduce the help desk call and really bringing a level 0 that's going to be the customer themselves by creating this culture of going on and on. And again, is you, partner, bringing that to the organization. The last point that for me is very important, increase adoption and customer loyalty. It's always these things that this is part of the approach that you need to have to be a partner focused on solution. And your customer will recognize it, and this cloud jungle will not make sense anymore for him to just jump from a provider to another because of pricing. That's really going to add the value and making you to be the kind of the business consultant that you are for them. So moving to the pricing, So the way we have here, what you see is the suggested retail price. Partner get a discount, of course, on it. The first one, standalone, $5 per user per month. Here means you don't have any Office 365 bundles or whatever with ShareWeb. You are just going to get QuickHelp. If you are an Office 365 user and you take it as an add-on or a bundle, the price is a $3 per user per month. There is no minimum of user. There is no commitment. What we have seen, organizations that are most successful, most of the time they provide the tool to the entire organization, but we're not making this as a restriction. So just let me check if we have some question on pricing at this time. Not yet. Okay, so let's move on. So really here, I think we cover, like I said earlier, this webinar was really to give you an introduction of the tool. We'll run another one later in the summer, really about how to equip you to resell or to equip you to demo. Some of the next step I want to give it to you. Go to visit our page, watch the intro video to better understand, but Zach did a really good job showing the solution. Download the product sheet. And if you have any question, really contact your account managers and start positioning QuickHelp to your customers. What we've seen so far is really, we have a lot of partners. They see this bundle value. So when they propose an Office 365, they also propose training, they propose backup, security, and they really see that the discussion is moving from a pricing discussion to a value discussion. So really start positioning it. Come back to us if you have any feedback. We do our best to help you. So let's see in terms of QA what we have here. So question, when will the product will be available? You can start to transact that with us since this week. So just go in Cumulus, you're going to find the solution. The price that we show is the retail price, suggested retail price. Up to you to price it the way you want, but that's the one we suggest. And the discount that you are getting is based on this price. Then we get earlier a different question. Can I manage license individually? Yes, you can. Actually, you're going to get a number of license after you assign to who you want. It's not stick to one user. Again, we strongly recommend to give this tool to all your Office 365 users, but you are free to go as you want. Some customers, they ask about the platform. Is it translated in French? It is not, but there is captions on all the videos. And I think it's about 20 language or 30 language. You can even decide in the configuration, you could decide that the caption are going to be by default and in the language that you want. So if your user are in some level Anglophone, they can still use the platform and the video will have caption. Yes, you can brand the page. So the URL will stay QuickHelp, but you could have on the top of the page, you could have the logo of your customers. Actually, it's not something that you can do directly in the admin portal, but if you contact our support team, we'll be able to upload the logo of your customer. Other questions? Do you have any collateral in the partner toolbox? So far, you have the product sheet. We're going to add beginning of next week the best practices. I mean, like if you start to manage a platform, what are the best practices? For example, configure Office Graph to import user, configure SSO, send an internal communication from an executive saying, hey guys, we invest in this solution, and so on and so on. So that's kind of content. And like I say, during this summer, we'll do a session, a deep dive of QuickHelp, how to position it, how to sell it, how to manage, and so on. But until there, really, feel free to contact your account manager. They have been trained. They are also using the solution internally to work with Office 365. So they should be knowledgeable about the solution. Zach, do you see anything that you would like to add?
No, that's it. I would definitely reiterate that the branding, you can definitely brand this with the customer logo. We recommend either your logo or the customer logo, but most cases the customer logo makes the most sense. But yeah, it can be really any logo that you want to brand.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Also, just to finish, because it's a partner event, I think you already received some communication about that. But we are running our annual summit this year in Montreal. Last year it was in Toronto. This year is going to be in Montreal in October. So if you didn't yet register, it's going to be a lot of quality keynote about how to sell, how to perform. You're going to have all the ShareWeb's product directors over there to present their different products. It's going to be a really good event, so don't hesitate to register now. And anyway, you're going to receive, I think, more communication soon. So that's it for we have a few questions left. We're going to take your information and answer directly to you. So thank you very much for your time. Zach, again, thank you for joining us. And I wish you a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.